If we haven't met yet, hey, I'm Julio, and welcome to the Let's Go with Julio show, where we are on a mission to help you run on heart, not on fear. We do that through leadership lessons that actually work, okay? I've seen them and I've lived them. Listen, we're nearing the end of the year, okay? And it's pretty clear we are living through a very strange time as high-performing leaders. You feel it. Seriously, 1 minute we're answering Slack on the toilet, and the next we're doomscrolling 3 wars, okay? A layoff rumor at work, your cousin's engagement on Instagram, and your taxes on Long Island are going up, okay, baby? And on top of all that, you are expected to lead. Lead yourself, lead your family, lead your team. It is a lot, and you're not alone. You're not alone. All of us are swimming in this and trying to figure out how do we navigate this. Seriously. You walk into any tech company right now and the data says and shows the same thing. Our managers are underwater right now. People are feeling leaderless. They're burnt out, directionless. And a lot of you are trying to hold it together with duct tape and oat milk lattes, okay? And maybe some partying, maybe some food, and maybe some shopping. Seriously, what I'm seeing with Fortune 50 leaders and with my friends is this, that it's not just an individual resilience problem here. That's some of it, but that's not all of it. It actually is a massive leadership skills problem. There is a gap here. And that makes sense because when you look at a lot of the training historically, we train managers on roadmaps and dashboards, not necessarily on courage, emotional regulation and maturity, or most importantly, how to have hard conversations. We avoid the hard conversations. We keep promoting high performers into leadership positions, but we don't give them the necessary support on feedback, conflict, or empathy. And then we act surprised when the team gets burnt out. And that is literally what happened to me. As some of you know, I had worked at some of the biggest tech brands in the world: Apple, Google, Tumblr, Airbnb, and Lyft. And I kept getting fired. We made a docuseries about it called Braving Big Tech. You should check that out. Part of my struggle was that there weren't many people there to help me. No one there was willing to say, hey, let me try and help you with a coach, because we see that you have areas of opportunity and we're committed to working with you on that. So let's get you a coach. There were a couple people who gave me nudges, but by and large, there was a lack of leadership around helping me get stronger and better and braver. We were moving so fast. It's what Kim Scott, the author of Radical Candor, calls ruinous empathy. Ruinous empathy. So lots of smiles, lots of you're doing great to your face, but behind the scenes, you're actually not happy. You know that they're struggling. You know that they need support. You know that there's a misalignment, but it's ruining them. It's actually ruinous empathy because it's not serving them. It's not honest. And you know, as I'm saying this out loud, I'm realizing that's actually really what's motivating me here underneath all of this. How come more people don't have access to this? If I can help you save your job, if I can help you find more joy in your job or become more present to your purpose, then heck yeah, let's go, baby. That's what we're doing here. So today, I want to bring you into a room that changed me in a big way. It was 4 days with Eckhart Tolle at the Omega Institute. And I'm going to share 5 of the lessons that I actually think can help you close out 2025 with more presence and certainly more what I like to call big, brave heart, baby, because Lord knows we need to get out of our heads and into our hearts. Let me rewind for a second. After the 4th firing, okay, things got rough. I gave up my badge and my laptop back. This was at Airbnb in San Francisco, 2018. I walked out of that office and I was in so much pain. You probably know what that feels like, having dealt with some kind of rejection in your life, okay? I was in so much pain that the only thing I knew how to do was numb it through partying, heavy drugs, honestly, drugs that nearly got me killed. In that moment, the darkest hour of my life, okay, everything went white. It was kind of like that scene at the end of Harry Potter where Harry sees the dying part of himself at King's Cross. You know what I'm talking about, okay? In that moment, there was no past, there was no future. There was only that moment right there. And it was clear for me that there was something else going on with my life. And my real job was to wake up. My real job was to find a way to make my mess the message for other people, to take care of myself. I called a mentor and he looked at me and said, okay, listen, baby, you need help. This is a pattern of behavior. You need help. You need to go sort that out. So he told me, go to the Hoffman process, which was a mental health wellness retreat. Go watch some Oprah. He told me, go learn what this voice in your head actually is. So I did. So there I am. I'm on YouTube. I'm doing a search for Oprah. I'm doing a search for Voice in Your Head. And I find this episode where she's talking about all the books on her nightstand. And one of those books was A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Okay. And so I was thinking, if that shit is good enough for Oprah's nightstand, it is good enough for mine, baby. And I'm going to read all of them books. So I did. I bought the books. And I have to tell you, I did not get it at first. Okay. I had to start Eckhart's book 4 or 5 different times. My mind just wasn't ready. Every time I picked it up, I'd get sleepy. It was dense. I just couldn't grab onto it. It wasn't clicking. But little by little, as life kept cracking me open, it started to make sense. Fast forward to this year, I'm sitting in the front row at the Omega Institute in upstate New York under these beautiful trees, this sacred feeling place. It was gorgeous. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. The retreat was called Accelerating Our Awakening. And what I want to do in this episode is I want to bring you into that room with me. You, the high-performing leader, big-hearted leader, you're trying to do the best you can with everything that you have. And by the way, I want to be real clear. We are all leaders here. Everybody listening to this and watching this is a leader, not just people with VP in their title. Maybe you're a student. Maybe you're leading a team or a project, a family, a community, or you're just focused on your own healing. I consider you a leader, everyday leaders. Because we're all, no matter who you are, where you're from, we're all quietly asking, listen, does it really have to always feel like this? So I want to share 5 lessons from those 4 days with Eckhart, and I want to translate them into your world. The reorgs, the layoffs, the performance reviews, the strategy shifts, the family drama, okay, the news. And I also want to connect to that deeper part of you that knows. You know that you are meant to lead from a bigger, braver, and more heart-led place. And that's why you're here. So my hope is that by the end of this session, you feel a little less identified with that critic in your head. Lord knows we all have it. And a little more connected to the deeper part of you that can actually lead your life. That's what I call your big, brave heart. So hand over heart, take a breath. And let's go into lesson 1. The first lesson here is you are not the critic in your head. I know that's hard. I live with an incessant, intense critic in my head. Most of us walk around thinking that we are that voice in our head. You know the one I'm talking about. The nonstop commentator, that son of a bitch that always has something to say about everything, okay? Your body, your calendar, your bank account, your relationship, what you're wearing, your emails. It's literally like having an angry parent narrating your entire life in real time. For most of my life, I thought that voice was me. I was completely and incessantly identified and attached to that stream of thinking in my head. And it caused a lot of stress and confusion. I thought I was the one who kept telling me, you're behind, you're too much, you're not enough, don't you fuck this up. But what this work with Eckhart really has reinforced for me is that there is something deeper in us that can actually watch that voice. We are not that voice. We are the one who is aware, who notices. For me, there's this critic. It's loud, dramatic, and it's an anxious bitch in my head. It lives in my head. But then there is also this quieter presence underneath. And that's what I call the coach. That's your big, brave heart. It's your inner coach, your higher coach, your inner knowing. And so I think the first move of awakening is not to kill the critic. We're not going after it. We're not trying to harm it. We're simply trying to notice it. That's not me. That's not me. It's a character. It's a character that got built out of my past. It is not me. It is a character that got built out of my past. Listen to that. It's very profound, okay? For me, a lot of that came from my mom and dad. I love my mom, but she was a drill sergeant, okay? Everything had to be dialed in. She's military. And my dad was critical about everything. He always had something to say. And so little Julio learned, oh, okay, that's how we do it. We criticize ourselves into being better. And that critical energy then turned into my early career ego, which I visually think of as the Hulk, okay? The Hulk. And let me tell you something, that Hulk got me big jobs. It gave me a lot of confidence. I felt very powerful. But that Hulk also got me fired. That Hulk also left me without relationships. That Hulk also left me lonely and isolated and numbing. It was hard. After a lot of work, therapy, Hoffman, coaching, teachers like Eckhart, I have learned that I can morph that Hulk into more of a golem. And that motherfucker is still there. Every time I give a presentation, every time I go into a coaching call, every time I go to a conference, Gollum is still there. And he shows up every time I am trying to be brave in my life. But with presence, with breath, with calm and stillness, I'm actually able to transform that bitch into a queer golem, okay? I transform him into a queer golem, and he is looking cute. And it's funny, this photo I actually shared with Out and Equal when I was there presenting, and everyone was cracking up because it's true and it's relatable. We all know what that's like. My ego started out as the Hulk, it moved to Gollum, and then it morphed to this dude, a queer daddy golem. For those of you who are listening, you should go to YouTube and check out the visual here. We have a visual on the YouTube about what this looks like. He's still there and he's still dramatic, but he no longer drives the bus. So I have anthropomorphized my ego. It looks like Gollum. He is there lurking and he's around, but he doesn't drive the bus. At least not always. He's still here, but sometimes I get caught in it. But through breath and through a presence practice, we work on that. Eckhart talks about this in his own way. He says, the beginning of freedom is realizing that you are not the thinker. You are the awareness of the thoughts. So again, you are not the critic. You are the one who can see the critic. And I'm telling you that when you get that, even just a little bit, something in you relaxes. So let's move into a practice. Here's a simple experiment for you this week. You ready? The next time that inner voice starts going in on you, pay attention to it, notice it. The next time it starts going in on you, maybe about how this year went, about your performance. Maybe it's about your body. Thanksgiving is here. Maybe you eating too much, your bank account, your parenting, your relationship, whatever it is. Pause. Pause, take a breath, and say quietly to yourself, okay, critic, I hear you. Now, let me ask my coach. You can put your hand over your heart if you want, because I believe that that's where the coach lives. That's your big, brave heart. This is your intuition. This is your inner knowing. You just wait 3 seconds and just be with it. See if another voice shows up. For me, the coach voice is quieter. It doesn't gaslight me. It actually tells me the truth in a subtle, declarative, calm kind of way. It talks to me like someone it actually cares about. And I'm telling you that that tiny move from being the critic to noticing the critic is the doorway. It is the portal to everything else that we're going to talk about here today. Okay? Give that a try. Let's go to lesson 2. Lesson 2, don't get infected by the insanity. I love this theme. One of the first things Eckhart talked about at Omega was the way our world is set up right now. The news cycles, social media, our phones, the way outrage is monetized, the way the algorithm rewards. We know this. It rewards the most reactive takes. He basically said, if you're not conscious, this whole system will drive you insane. And we see that. He calls it the collective unconsciousness. So much of what we consume every day is actually built on fear and comparison and conflict. We need to be honest about modern life. You're on the toilet answering Slack. You're on the subway. You're waiting for a date. You're in between meetings. Always scrolling, always on your phone, incessantly. And I have to tell you that whatever you're scrolling is training your nervous system. It's either anchoring you or it's infecting you. I love that. Anchoring you or infecting you. At Omega, for example, there was this long line before every session, like literally an hour and a half. And my ass was on that line because I wanted to be up in the front, okay? Past me would have been on my phone the whole time, doom scrolling, emails, trying to be more productive. But I decided, you know what if I use this line as my dojo, as where I get to practice? And so I stood in line and I watched my mind wanting to grab my phone, wanting to check email, wanting to check Instagram. And then what do? You take a breath and you practice bringing your attention back to the trees, to the feet, to your air, to your skin. Eckhart reminds us that the only thing that actually exists is this moment right now. The past is a memory form. The past is a memory form. The future, it's imagination. It only exists in our mind. Really, when you think about it, all we really have is what is happening right now, right here in our direct experience. But the truth of the matter is most of us feel like prisoners, okay? Prisoners of our phones, of our group chats, of our minds, of thoughts about what might happen or what did happen 5 years ago, 10 years ago, what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen in that meeting. We sit with all this heaviness and then we wonder why we're exhausted. So here's a practice for this lesson. The next time something insane hits your screen and you feel your body heat up, it's tensing up, it's tightening up. Maybe it's a headline or a comment, a family group chat, a Slack message from your VP that just makes your chest tighten. I want you to try this. Put your phone down, literally face down. Put your feet on the floor and your butt in the chair. Take 3 slow breaths in and out. And silently ask, can I make the present moment my friend for just 30 seconds? Just try that for 30 seconds. I'm not saying that you have to like what is happening. You can still hate it. But in those 30 seconds, what you will see is that you'll start to develop the art and the power of choosing not to let the insanity own your nervous system. And from that place, the email you send, the comment you post, the conversation you have with your uncle or your VP, it will be different. You don't have to believe me. You could try it for yourself. Try it for yourself and see. And if you do, let me know in the comments. I read everything you send and I want to know. That's lesson 2. On to lesson 3. Lesson 3, you are more than this role, than this year. One of Eckhart's favorite metaphors and mine is the ocean. The ocean. On the surface, there are waves. Some tiny, some huge, some crashing dramatically. But there's constant motion, constant change. But what's underneath? How many of you go into the ocean, you swim under the wave and there's this deep, still body of water that doesn't get thrown around by every wave. So you have the top surface and then deep beneath you have the stillness. And I love this because I grew up near the ocean and I love riding and swimming with the waves in the summer. Okay. There's this feeling when you're above the waves, all this noise and the chaos and the splashing, and then you dive under and suddenly silence, stillness. You feel the wave almost pass over you, but you are not the wave. Most of us live as if we are the latest wave. I am my promotion. I am my layoff. I am my comp band, my job title, my performance, my GPA, my follower count, whatever that is. And I struggle with that. When something good happens, the wave is up. When something bad happens, the wave crashes. And then we think we're crashing. But Eckhart has this line that I love. He says, in essence, you can only lose something that you have, but you cannot lose something that you are. Oh, I love that. Your job, your reputation, your Q4 results, those are things that you have. They're waves. Who you are is actually much deeper than that. And that matters a lot for how you walk into this new year, how you think about the end of the year, because most of us set goals from a place of self-rejection. I'll finally be enough when I get promoted, when I lose 10 pounds, when I hit X revenue. And then the entire year becomes a referendum on our worth. Can we do it or not? What this work invites instead is start with the being first, and then let your doing flow from that. We are human beings, not human doings. So here's a practice. Before you set your 2026 goals, I want you to ask yourself, who am I if this thing that I really want doesn't happen the way I want it to? Who are you if it doesn't happen the way you want it to? Who are you if the promotion doesn't come through? if the launch happens to flop, if the headcount gets cut, if your LinkedIn is quiet for 6 months, who are you? I'm telling you that if you sit with that question for a minute, you might notice that there's something in you that never vanishes. It doesn't vanish when the wave changes. Sometimes what I do is I go into the mirror, okay? I look myself in the eyes and I just ask, hello. I look myself, go into the mirror, try this, go into the mirror, look yourself in the eye and notice who's looking, who's in there, who is actually in there looking. Try it. It's pretty profound if you breathe and feel into it while you're looking. That deeper part of you, the deeper eye, as Eckhart says, that's the place that we want to lead from. That's what I mean when I talk about big, brave heart. It's the deep essence of you. That's lesson 3. Let's go to lesson 4. Lesson 4, your hardest thing is a portal. It's not a problem. I know this one is spicy, y'all. I'm going to hear it. This one is spicy, but true. It is true. It is true. The hardest challenge you're facing right now actually is a portal if you're willing to choose to see it that way. It's not a problem. And I know that fucking sucks. And I know that most of us do not want to hear that. But stay with me here because this is big. At Omega, Eckhart told a story about his cancer diagnosis and his treatment. He used this phrase that I love. He called it a kind of spiritual radiation treatment. Spiritual radiation treatment. He wasn't romanticizing cancer. He was saying, he was pointing to something very uncomfortable and very real, which is that sometimes the exact experience we would never choose becomes the actual doorway of a deeper level of presence and of freedom. So the challenge, even though we don't choose it, becomes a deeper level to be able to access that presence and that wisdom. He has a line in A New Earth where he basically says, life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness. Now, if you're in the middle of something brutal right now, this line might piss you off. Helpful? Helpful for who? I know, I get it. So I don't use this lightly, but this is so profound because when I look back at my own life, okay, at getting fired 4 times in a row, at surviving an overdose, at how close I came to giving it all up, I can also see that those experiences were actually there to force me to confront things that I wasn't voluntarily looking at. My trauma, my patterns, my ego, okay? My heart had been abandoned and armored up. It was cold and dark. And those things in my life pushed me onto this path, this work, this conversation with you right now. So here's a practice. I want you to bring to mind the hardest thing you're carrying right now. It's the thing you would erase with a magic wand if you could. And I want to offer you one question, and not as some let's be positive exercise, okay, but as a serious experiment. So bring it to mind, take a breath, and ask yourself, if this were for me and not against me, what might it be trying to grow within me? If this were for me and not against me, what might this be trying to grow within me? Maybe it's growing your capacity to set boundaries. Maybe it's growing your capacity for humility. Maybe it's growing your capacity to receive help, which I know is brutal for high performers. We don't like to receive help. You don't have to pretend to like it. You don't even have to be grateful for it yet, but you also don't have to see it as a dead end, because almost always, in the thousands of leaders I have worked with, the thread is the same. I have to tell you, the thing you hate the most is also the training ground for the next version of you. You got to walk through the fire a little bit. That's lesson 4. Lesson 5, presence is the new IQ in the age of AI. That's big. This one feels especially important as we walk into 2026. Eckhart made this point that I love. He says, we don't actually know what a thought is. You can't actually put it under a microscope. You can't weigh it. It's not solid. It's formless. And he uses the light spectrum, I think, is a beautiful metaphor. When you see the visual of the spectrum, there's only a very small slither that we can actually see with the naked human eye. Just because we can't see infrared or ultraviolet light doesn't mean it isn't real, okay? In the very same way, what our thinking mind can perceive is only a tiny slice of the full spectrum of intelligence that is available to us if we are willing to see it that way. He talks about this deeper level of unconditioned intelligence, is what he calls it. That's what I refer to as big, brave heart. I believe big, brave heart is the deeper, unconditioned intelligence. And we access that through presence, not through overthinking here, through presence. So now layer on AI on top of all of that, and we are building machines that can do more and more of the thinking work, drafting, summarizing, planning, optimizing. So if your entire sense of value is defined about I'm so smart and I'm the one with all the answers, then this is going to be a very stressful next decade. It will, I'm sorry to tell you, because the part that AI cannot touch, the part that is deeply human, that's the quality of your awareness. The part that AI cannot touch is the quality of your awareness. The way your nervous system feels in a room, the way you listen, the way you hold complexity without panicking, the way you sense the human being behind the personality sitting across from you, seeing the person, really seeing them. Eckhart says awareness is the greatest agent for change. So in the age of AI, I genuinely believe that presence is the new power. We need leaders right now to get out of their heads and into their hearts. Because if we are leading with our big, brave hearts, we would not be out there bombing people, breaking families apart, laying off employees with a cold email, cutting middle management without support. We wouldn't be doing that. Our lack of presence is showing up all over the place, and it is obvious. And I like to think of it like this. People are different lampshades. Eckhart talks about this. People are different lampshades. There's different cultures, different histories, different personalities, patterns, colors, depthness. But the light that shines through, that awareness, it's the same light bulb. It's the same light that shines through. And so your big, brave heart is your way of plugging directly into that light, the unconditioned intelligence. So here's a practice. Here's one very simple way to train this, and you can start today. Once a day, give one person in your life, the undivided gift of your attention for 60 seconds. No phone on the table, okay? No checking your watch, no rehearsing your responses while they're still talking, no thinking about the next thing that you have to do. Just see if you can listen. Sense, as Eckhart would say, the deeper I behind their personality. It might be your partner, your kid, your sibling, someone on your team, the person making your coffee. It could even be your mom on FaceTime. Just see if you can be still and present with what is. I'm telling you, the quality of attention, of actually being here, is your superpower, is a leadership superpower. In an AI world, that is the thing that cannot be automated, really. So as we close, I want to come back to the retreat title, Accelerating Our Awakening. At the very end of our time at Omega, Eckhart told a story about realizing he was ready to help more people, to teach more people, and how he felt called to accelerate. I love that. But he said something that has stayed with me every day since. He said, ask for the acceleration, but only when you have gotten sufficiently out of the way. Only when you have gotten sufficiently out of the way. When he said that, my whole system lit up and shrank really at the same time, because I want acceleration. I want to reach more people. I want to help more leaders like you. I joke, but let me tell you something. I'm dead ass serious when I say I want to be the queer Latino Oprah of this generation. Hello. I also have to tell you that I know how sneaky my ego is. I know how fast this work can turn into a performance, a costume, instead of a true act of service. And so I have to work on that every day. Am I doing it out of my ego, or am I doing it out of my spirit, my essence, my big, brave heart? What's my head voice saying? What's my heart voice saying? And, that's really the work to do. I work on this every day, and it's hard. And I know y'all are going to keep me honest on how I'm doing. And I have to say, I'm learning to get out of the way inch by inch so that my intelligence, the unconditioned intelligence, my big, brave heart can actually flow through me. And I want to invite you into that same experiment. Okay. So don't try to do all 5 lessons at once. That's a lot. Okay, there's a lot going on. Pick one, just one. Maybe it's noticing your critic and inviting your coach, making the present moment your friend for 30 seconds, seeing your hardest thing as a portal, not just a problem, or giving one person the gift of your full attention each day. Practice that. Practice that for the rest of this month and let it be messy. Let it be human. And if at some point you feel ready to ask for acceleration, okay, you're ready to go deeper into your own presence, into your own leadership, you're ready to go deeper and connect with your heart, know that I am right here with you. I'm here with you wobbling and learning and figuring this shit out, practicing in real time, okay? That's what we all doing. So listen, if this episode landed for you, I want you to share it with someone you love. Share it with someone who might need it. There's a friend, there's a coworker who might need it. Send it to your team as inspiration. Send it to that one friend who is quietly dealing with a lot. We all have them. And if you want to explore this more deeply, say with your leadership team or your ERG or even one-on-one, shoot me a note. All the ways you can work with me are in the show notes. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and I'm excited to walk into these last days of 2025 a little bit more present, a little bit less infected by the insanity, and a lot more rooted in our big, brave hearts, y'all. I'm telling you, I love you, I see you, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Thanks for being here. That's it for today's episode. If listening to this brings up something for you, I'd love to hear about it. Shoot me a note at hello@letsgowithjulio.com. The Let's Go with Julio show is produced and edited by Ricky Gunton, and our theme song is You Are the One by Nick Deutsch. Don't forget to subscribe and share it with a friend or two who could benefit. I see y'all. I love you. Let's go, leaders.